Hello, everybody, and welcome to the May 10th, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. So first, we're going to start with an update. I recently created a blog. It's ephromjosine.blogspot.com. The blog itself is called the Ephrom Report. What it's going to be for is I'm going to write some columns there from time to time. And by from time to time, I mean currently the schedule is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday columns for you guys. These will be more about general topics as opposed to this show, which is just about news. So go check that out. Link is in the description in case you are curious. Anyway, apparently Donald Trump and Betsy DeVos had a very awful idea recently. Now, that's not in itself newsworthy. However, what the idea is actually is newsworthy. Apparently, he wants to pull the federal government completely out of education. Here's what it says. President Trump signed an executive order Wednesday to start pulling the federal government out of K-12 education, following through on a campaign. God, they always do this. Following through on a campaign. I don't care about that. I care what he's doing now. The order, dubbed the Education Federalism Executive Order, will launch a 300-day review of Obama-era regulations and guidance for school districts and direct Education Secretary Betsy DeVos to modify or repeal measures she deems an overreach by the federal government. For too long, okay, this is Donald Trump speaking. For too long, the government has imposed its will on state and local governments. Well, if you really think that's an issue, then you probably shouldn't be President of the United States. Or for that matter, you should make it so there is no President of the United States. You should just make it state governments then. If you really think that, no, the federal government can't impose its will on state and local governments. The result has been education that spends more and achieves far, far, far less. He said far 3 times. My administration has been working to reserve this federal power grab and give power back to families, cities, and states. Give power back to localities. We know local communities know it best and do it best. I just want a giant button that says citation needed right there. Because we are the only country in the world, at least that I can think of, that has the system where no state governments can decide what you learn too. Or at least they have as much power as they do in the United States. And our education system is a failure. Everyone agrees on that. And their solution is continue doing what's failing. And look, I'm not saying every single thing about No Child Left Behind or Common Core is absolutely perfect, because it's not. But what I'm saying is we still need a federal curriculum. Let me explain to you why. 0 plus 0 equals 0. Now, that is true in every single state. But according to these people, it can get more subjective. You know, if we're talking about some general things, science, for instance, that used to be a big one. And it still is a big one sometimes. You know, that's subjective. That can depend. No. Facts are the same in every single state. I can't believe I have to explain that to people. Okay, here is some lies. Now, we covered the Iran nuclear deal in detail a few days ago. However, it seems like a lot of Republicans seem to not even know what the deal is. But I shouldn't have been surprised by that, considering how they can't even follow a linear amount of events. You think I'm joking. This is an article from Louder Crowder written by, of course, Courtney Krischoff, who is essentially, I would call her the Matt Walsh of Louder with Crowder, but Walsh is crazy. I think she's just more a liar. Breaking. Iran fires missiles at Israel. What a bummer about that nuke deal. Picture this. Your boss denies you a promotion. Denies you for a promotion, saying, we just don't trust you with that kind of responsibility. So in order to prove your boss wrong, you release all the corporate passwords to BuzzFeed, then spam everyone's compromised emails with Stormy Daniels porn. Hashtag that'll show 'em. Now let's go to Iran, a country that wants nuclear material for energy and stuff, which, by the way, a lot of other countries are allowed to do, and even if they are building, well, if they are using it for weapons, a lot of other countries are allowed to do that too, including the United States and Israel. Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Iran nuke deal, basically telling the Iranians they could eat their sand. How did Iran respond? Well, they're now firing non-nuclear weapons at Israel. I was just expecting him to say, I was just expecting the writer to say nuclear weapons, add that little extra bit there. But here's the thing Courtney forgot to cover, and I checked Crowder's site. I could not find this story. It's the story we covered a few days ago. But the day the Iran nuke deal was canceled, Israel started firing missiles into Iran. This article was written yesterday, so follow with me. That means it was one day after Israel already started attacking Iran, Iran attacked back. That is called self-defense. Courtney then makes a few points. Here's what they are. Israel has a right to defend itself, but apparently Iran doesn't. And even if they do, we're going to make it sound like they're not anyway, so who cares? Iran is a supporter of terrorism. Okay, that is true. So is U.S. ally Saudi Arabia. But okay, in fact, to a far greater extent than Iran, when you consider that they actually use U.S. money, as in money the U.S. government gave them to fight ISIS. We're allowed with Crowder's a million articles about that. And that includes under this president, by the way. There is a good guy here and a bad guy. Israel is the good guy, the guys who attacked first, by the way. Iran is the bad guy. Now, here's the thing. If you want to argue that, no, I support Israel on principle because of this reason, okay. But don't act like they didn't do the preemptive strike. Can we just all agree to start there? Oh, apparently we can't. Let's cheer for the good guys and not get all weepy-eyed for the Stone Age nation of Ireland. They essentially do a Gish Gallop. Where they just go on about, this is why Iran is bad. Okay, that doesn't mean they deserve to be attacked for no reason. But again, we just ignore that Israel attacked first again. Because of course they did. Why wouldn't they? Okay, and here's another one. This one comes from the Daily Wire. And you could say we cover Daily Wire all the time. And you're not entirely wrong, but really the only Daily Wire writer I've covered is Walsh, and to a lesser extent Nolis. I haven't even covered Shapiro yet on the show. And that's amazing. This is by a guy named Jeremy Frankel. It's entitled, you ready for this? If only Kamala Harris cared as much about the unborn as she does about terrorists. Again, this is just a typical Daily Wire thing, just loading the title with as many things as possible, just appeal to your emotions. And of course, this is a Daily Wire article. The header image is her looking kind of creepy or kind of ugly. Ooh. As if that proves something. But here's what the article says. On Wednesday, the confirmation hearing was held for Gina Haspel, President Trump's nominee for CIA director. Naturally, the Senate Democrats grilled her the same way they did for most of Trump's nominees. You just contradicted yourself. I'm joking, of course. Well, not as much as I should be, mind you. Kamala Harris, the radical leftist. Again, these people just don't understand politics. Senator from California was without a doubt the worst of questioners. She kept bombarding Haspel with questions about her moral compass with regards to Haspel's position on waterboarding terrorists. Well, that's pretty important considering how torture and collective punishment is kind of a war crime. And even if it wasn't, it doesn't work as a way to get information, so doing it is completely pointless at best. Like, here's the thing. If you are pro-torture, you have to know there is evidence it doesn't work. Essentially what you're saying is, I just like hurting people. So you're a psychopath. If you don't know, by the way, Haspel engaged in a lot of torture during the Bush administration because she worked for the CIA at the time. But here's what you had to say. Now, let's continue the article. Asking her 4 times if she believed the enhanced interrogation program was immoral. By the way, to Daily Wire, I'd like to tell you one of your writers, Jeremy Frankel, he just spelled torture wrong. Okay, that was me being kind of mean. Harris refused to accept The answer Haspel gave. Of course, it was all for show, as Harris clearly wasn't planning to vote for Haspel's confirmation regardless. With an eye to okay, yeah. However, an obvious question can be asked here. What if Haspel treated terrorists the way Planned Parenthood does babies? This is a real article written by a news source a lot of people read, by the way. Just saying. Now, of course, I could go through all the idiotic pro-life comments this post makes, but let's talk about some of the pro-torture ones, because those are more interesting to me. What if Haspel decided that, instead of waterboarding 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, which didn't work as a means of getting information, by the way, which was the stated goal of the program, she decided to have his skull crushed and his limbs harvested and sold? They never did that. Planned Parenthood never did that. That's a lie. The most they did was they engaged in stem cell research, which actively helps people. Sorry. But anyway, the rest of the argument is more or less just appeal to emotions fallacy. That's really the nicest way to put it. It's just sitting there going, don't you feel bad when you read this? Well, I'm right. When that's not how anything works. And again, these are the people who say facts don't care about your feelings. But meanwhile, because they're too busy caring about mine, I'm Ephrom, and good night.